What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. And today we're going to be diving into all about breaking your self-limiting beliefs. Me and Coach Mark are going to talk hand in hand on this one. And it's definitely a golden nugget of an episode for you guys, simply because at the end of the day, we all have these self-limiting beliefs. We all do, whether it's with our health and fitness goals, whether it's with, finances, whether it's with career, it doesn't matter. Everybody has their self-limiting beliefs. And this is actually something that we focus on a lot, especially in phase one of our coaching program, to really set the tone for the duration of the next coaching phases. Because, hey, we go over emotional strength building videos to really help guys kind of clear themselves of these emotional and self-limiting beliefs that they have. We like to say it's kind of like that ball and chain that's really kind of holding them back. And all it is, guys, is nothing but lies. It's lies that we tell ourselves on repeats that we just start to believe. That's all it is. It's just like we brainwashed ourselves to not thinking towards success, not thinking towards positivity. And today, fingers crossed, this episode can kind of help you guys break free of that ball and chain and just get you guys on the right path to taking that one step outside your comfort zone, no matter how scary it may be, to help you guys have success. Coach Mark, let's dive into self-limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. So there's 6 steps that I want to talk about as far as, identifying and handling self-limiting beliefs. And the first one is you have to identify what that belief is. So you have to spend some time thinking about it, probing, you got to do some digging internally. What is it that you feel is holding you back? What is it that you believe about yourself that is not letting you progress the way you want to? And that just takes some reflection and time, with yourself. And then from there, you've got to recognize once you identify it that this is just a belief. It's not a fact. So you've got to repeatedly tell yourself that the way we talk about affirmations, right? Positive affirmations. Now you need to affirm that this is not reality, that this is a belief that you have falsely created for yourself. It's not true. And then once you do that, step 3, you need to challenge it and you need to probe this by saying, what is the evidence, right? What is there in reality that backs up this belief, or what opposes this belief? What is it doing for me? What is its value? If someone else, told me this about themselves, what would I say to them? So you need to confront this belief internally. And then you have to actually recognize the potential damage that this belief is causing you as step 4, right? What is this belief holding me back from? What is it preventing me from achieving? By believing this, what am I doing to myself? And then finally, once you've done all that, you're ready to adopt a new belief to counteract that. So you need to identify what that is, right? What is it that you identify with, in place of that false belief? And you need to slowly instill that into yourself. And you do that through things that we always talk about, right? Affirmations, positive talk, visualization is also a great tool here, right? Spend some time imagining what it would be like if you had overcome this negative belief, what it would be like if you actually went past that and achieved whatever it is that you're looking to, whether it's health and fitness goals, career goals, financial, whatever it is. Live in that kind of new reality so that you're priming yourself for what it's like to get past that block. And then lastly, right, step 6, let's take all that and put it into practice, right? So start acting on this new belief that you've now instilled to yourself. You know, for me, like one of the beliefs that I had in the past was that I couldn't be physically active. And I overwrote that by, through my journey with Heartletics, finding sustainable activity that I enjoyed, that was working for me, that benefited from me. And I just built and built on that because it wrote a new reality for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. All really good tips. And if anybody's into their mindset, right? And like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time, in order to have a new life, a new reality, a new whatever the case may be, you need to start like being, acting, doing as if it's that future you. You're right. And I remember when I was a little kid, I'd always play basketball because we had a little basketball hoop that was like attached to our garage. And I just remember like Allen Iverson and Vince Carter, these were the guys I looked up to, and Michael Jordan. Anytime I would be playing basketball, I would just visualize myself as them, just shooting hoops and how they would dribble, how they would shoot, and just having fun with it. But realistically, my basketball game was starting to get better and better and better because I started acting like them, being like them. And so one of honestly, like the secret sauce for success, guys, is find somebody, right, that has the life that you want, or has the body that you want, or has the career that you want. And just know that, hey, if they can do it, you can do it too. Roger Banniston is a perfect example of this. He was the man that ran the 4 minute mile for the very first time. Now, before that actually happened, everybody thought it was insane. Everybody thought it was literally impossible. Like, doctors thought the human heart would explode if somebody ran a 4 minute mile. He was able to do it. Several months after the case, there was, I think, 28 different people that was also able to complete that 4 minute mile. And then, now there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are able to complete it. High schoolers nowadays are able to complete it. Why? It's because he broke those self-limiting beliefs. He was shown what's possible. Now, putting this in perspective of, Mark, you talked about you being active. Same thing with me with nutrition. Guys, I grew up in an Italian household, right? Hey, don't throw away anything on your plate. You got to finish everything. There's people in third world countries that are starving right now. Like, that was my mindset growing up, right? Good foods versus bad foods. Stay away from this, only eat this. But it was horrible relationship when it comes down to food, right? And so growing up, I was always kind of just like on the fence of like, what's right, what's wrong, And then it wasn't until I got started in mixed martial arts where I actually had to start cutting weights. And that was a whole nother aspect where it's like, okay, so how do I do this? Like, I see all these guys killing themselves trying to cut weight, all these wrestlers and UFC fighters, so I would start implementing some of the things that they were doing. So cutting out carbs, tons and tons of cardio, basically not eating next to anything. It was horrible. I remember just like going on this grapefruit diet for a few weight cuts, and I'm left with no strength, nothing like that at all. Just horrible and horrible relationship when it comes down to food, to where I'm like, all right, if I'm seeing all these other guys, right, on YouTube and Google, right, they're in shape, they're eating cookies, candy, donuts, they're able to implement it. Why can't I either? And it wasn't until honestly I got certified in nutrition where I understood the flexibility and honestly how calories work, macronutrients work, micronutrients, where I'm like, okay, these are how these guys are fitting it in and staying in shape. And it broke that self-limiting belief with me also, where I can see somebody else do it and actually read about it. Actually, this is what they're teaching other trainers, other nutritionists how to do it as well. This is all starting to make sense, putting in perspective of business. I was always that somebody that was like, hey, no one's in my family ever started a business. I'm like the very first person. Right. And so like growing up where it's just like, hey, you're taught and raised to go to college and go to school and, play it safe, right? Work a 9 to 5. I wanted to take that leap, and it was very hard, but I kept on visualizing success as how my business would look. At the same time, I saw other guys that are no different from me, right? Other guys that didn't even have certifications, they having a successful business. I was like, I can do this too. And through just trial and error, and then, obviously invested my own, time and money into a business coach to teach me how to run a successful business, you can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so the reason why I'm sharing that with you guys is just like what Mark shared, where, hey, at the end of the day, it's going to be tough, right? And so, Mark's going to go over next about some tips on how to step outside your comfort zone and what has actually kind of helped him. But understand this, that if somebody else can do it, you can do it too. And on the flip side, if no one else is able to be able to accomplish that, then guess what? Take pride and ownership and say, you're going to be the first one. Take full ownership of that and be confident. Say, hey, maybe my whole entire family suffered with, high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes. I'm going to be the first one to reverse it and get off of this, where I'm going to stop it in its tracks. Mark, let's help these guys out. Cause I know a lot of the times people have these self-limiting beliefs about, especially if they've been out of shape for, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20 years, feeding the bad wolf. It's that ball and chain kind of holding them back from having success, having the energy that they want, having the body that they actually desire and feel comfortable and confident in. What are some tips that we can kind of give them to, taking that next step with stepping outside their comfort zone?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing is you have to have the drive, right? And that means there has to be something that you really strongly want, that is willing to step out of your comfort zone for. For example, right, when I found Heartletics, I had been working at a job that I was unhappy with, but I was staying in that job that I was unhappy with because it was security. It was, like you said, the 9 to 5 that made sense. That was kind of what you were led to believe you're supposed to do. And the more and more experience I had with Heartletics, and the more you and I got to know each other, I kind of knew that this is what I really wanted. But when I finally kind of stepped out and sent you that message saying, hey, if there was ever an opportunity, I'd love to be a coach. It was hard. It was hard to do that because right, you and I had a certain relationship that existed already, and I was afraid, if I was totally off base, I didn't know what that would do to that relationship.
Yeah.
So that was scary. And then there's also, obviously you're just, the answer could just be no. And then, you're kind of left disappointed. It was a step out of the comfort zone, but it really led to a direction that has changed my life for the better in a million ways, because I had that drive and I was willing to push myself a little out there. And the same thing applies to nutrition, fitness, finance, whatever it is that you want. As long as you have that drive, you can push yourself outside that comfort zone, because growth does not happen in the comfort zone. It happens when you push yourself out. I would never be doing what I'm doing now, and as happy as I am doing it, if I hadn't been willing to push myself out of the comfort zone, A, on a path of nutrition and fitness, and then B, on a career path that was completely in an opposite direction to anything I ever imagined, but yet has made me so fulfilled and happy. So yeah, you have to be willing to move in a new direction, and you have to do that through steps, right? Plans, right? You can't just kind of go willy-nilly. It involves identifying what's holding you back, like I talked about. It involves envisioning. I remember spending so much time before becoming a coach, just envisioning in my daily meditations what that day would be like. I would kind of envision a day of being at home working on Heartletic stuff from my home office, until I remember, like, the first few days of doing it, I was like, this is what I was like envisioning. Like, this is so strange that this has
That's
come to
wild.
pass.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it will work as long as you challenge yourself, and are willing to create that new path for yourself. It's like Joe Dispenza says too, right? You have to fire and wire in new ways. If you keep repeating the same pattern, you're only going to have the same cyclical experiences. If you push yourself in new directions, you fire and wire new synapses, and you create new directions for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And then my tips as we close here is very simple. We actually do this inside of our coaching program where, somebody will be set up to talk with one of our mindset coaches. And this is where they go over their why, but then also that 2.0 version of themselves. And this is to really kind of help them figure out, like, what is it that they want, but also what is it that their actual goal is, right? And then if we can visualize that, we can help them, achieve that in a mindset where it's, okay, this is what you want, and here's your deep rooted why. It's going to help them take that leap forward. It's going to help them, take that one step outside their comfort zone. And everybody always needs help with that. The guys that sign up for their coaching program, they obviously get, access to us, the coaches, the community group, to make their lives a lot easier and simplify it, right? To help them on that path to success. But I want to share with you guys just a little tip for anybody that's on the outside listening in, and it's simply this. Look in terms of any relationship that you had. Okay. Most people that are listening to this, they're typically married. So let's just talk about your spouse. The first time that you had to go up to her and ask her out, I'm sure it was scary, right? I'm sure it was nervous. Right? You had to go ask what her name is. You had to go ask what her number is, and then obviously ask her on a date. You probably had those little butterflies, right? But now look at it. You're married. Maybe you have kids. So taking that leap outside your comfort zone, right? And taking those nerves and just going with it, right? Going for the flow, it led you to the life that you're living right now, right? The relationship that you have right now. And also on the flip side, no relationship is perfect, right? You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have arguments. It's going to happen, right? Plain and simple. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Just throw in the white towel, give up, get a divorce? Like, no, most people work through those relationship issues, right? They talk things out, right? They mature, they grow together, right? Maybe that's all you need to know to break these self-limiting beliefs in your own head, is just look at where you came through in life. Look at any adversity and any hardship that you had overcome in your life. I'm pretty sure, right? It felt really good, not giving up. And at the end of the day, like, that's the encouragement. That's the motivation that I want to inspire you with, is just don't give up. You probably don't know this about yourself, but realistically, just take some time today or tomorrow, whatever the case may be, and think about how far you actually came. Any situation in your life where you had to go over something and overcome something new in your life where it was scary, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise. Use that as internal motivation to push you and help you make that next leap outside your comfort zone. And that's it. At the end of the day, don't be a slave to the past. Why is it that the windshield is a lot bigger than the rearview mirror? It's because, hey, you're looking through that windshield and that's where you're trying to get to. You don't need to continue to look through the rearview mirror. That's only the past. And sometimes it takes some courage. Sometimes it takes some balls, and sometimes it's scary, but you never know what's on the outside of just taking that leap forward. And that's it. Me and Mark just want to come on here today, give you guys some words of wisdom, just some inspiration. We know that at the end of the day, it's always scary making that first leap, but when you have people in your corner that can help you out, it makes it a lot easier. So with that being said, this has been Coach Joe, Coach Mark with the Heartletics podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.